Welcome to the You Were Designed for Greatness podcast. Each week we will bring you inspiring tips, stories, and ideas to help you be all that you can be, discovering your greatness. Featuring Donna Tashton. Donna is a transformational life and health coach, a highly sought-after public speaker, and the founder of Vibrant Living. She has helped hundreds find a better life, free of stress and living the greatness they were truly designed for. And now, your host, Donna Tashton.
Welcome. This is Donna Tashton with You Were Designed for Greatness podcast. And today I am excited. I have a special guest, Simone. Why don't you say hello and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me here. My name is Simone Knego. I'm from Sarasota, Florida. I am a mom of 6 kids. We adopted our youngest 3 from Ethiopia and South Korea. I've been married to my husband for 28 years, and I am currently an author and speaker. I've done many things in my life. I started off as a CPA. I changed my mind many times, and which I tell my kids all the time, it's okay to change your mind. But I realized this is what I love. I love sharing my stories, because if I can share something that can impact one person, then I feel like I've really done something positive for the world.
So how did you end up, has it always been in your heart to adopt? How did that happen?
We had talked about it actually between child 1 and child 2. So there's actually 4 years in between our first 2 kids. And then of course I found out that I'm pregnant. So we kind of put it to the back burner. But then we brought up the conversation again after we had our 3rd child, and we said, what do you think? It's kind of now or never. And we went with the now. And, there's so many amazing kids in the world just waiting for a family to love them. And we felt like we could be that family. And we are that family. We are chaos. We are crazy. We are. And it's exactly how I love it.
Yes, I grew up with 6 too. And so I understand that there's constantly something happening.
Yeah, there's never a dull moment. But the great thing there's lots of great things about it, but the great thing about it, endless stories. So I love telling stories, and I have endless stories.
Yes, that is true. So what's one of your favorite stories?
One of my favorite stories is actually about my husband. He'll probably be like, oh my gosh, you're talking about me again. We were in Italy. This was years ago for a friend's wedding, and we had the youngest 3 kids with us, and they set up this wine tasting. And of course we both couldn't go because we had the kids. So my husband said, oh, I'll take the kids. You go to the wine tasting. I was like, oh, good. I like wine. I'll go to the wine tasting. And so he took the kids into town, and our youngest daughter had to go to the bathroom, and she was 3.5 at the time. And so it was a restroom where you had to put in a coin. Then the door opens up, you go in, the door closes, you use the restroom, then you go back out. And when you go back out, an automatic wash cycle goes on. Well, the way it went for them is that they were waiting there. As soon as the door opened and the woman before them walked out, my daughter went in. The door closed, the automatic wash cycle went on. So my daughter got a complete wash down, and they couldn't open the door because it was automatic. So they were trying everything to get her out of there. Needless to say, that was like a great moment for my husband. And one of those things people are like, really, that happened to you? That happened to my daughter. And actually it was so, I'll say traumatic, but also at this point we laugh about it, that she wrote one of her college essays about it. So never ending.
Oh, no, never ending at all. Awesome. So tell me about what you're doing today. You're now in your passion. I don't suppose you were always there. How did you get there?
Oh, I definitely was not always there. I think for a long time, I didn't realize what I wanted. It was about what I thought I was expected to do, what I was expected to be.
I understand that.
Yeah. And so, I started off as a CPA. That's what I went to school for. I have a master's in accounting, and didn't love it. Did it for a couple of years, then tried something else. Like I said, changed my mind many times. And I was and I struggled with myself, struggling to feel good about myself. And kind of the defining moment was I was at a women's luncheon listening to these amazing motivational speakers. And when they finished speaking, I actually felt bad about myself. And I had someone else say to me, oh, well, then they weren't that motivational. It was my mindset. It was not that they were amazing human beings. They are amazing human beings. It just wasn't, I was feeling bad about myself because my first thought was that will never be me.
Right. Comparison.
Always. And that was the moment in time where I said, and that's the whole point. You're not supposed to be them. You are supposed to be you, the best version of you. What are you already doing? What things are you bringing to the world? And so that was kind of my moment of taking a step back and saying, the only person I need to compare myself is to myself. Yeah. What did I do today versus what did I do yesterday? And how can I do better tomorrow? All of those pieces. And it really changed my life. And realizing that the way I impact the world is by sharing my stories, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it, for that human connection piece.
Yeah. Comparison kills, and women do it all the time.
Yeah. And it doesn't benefit anybody. It really doesn't. And honestly, usually the person that you're comparing yourself with, they don't know you're comparing yourself with them. Like they're not even thinking about you. So we do this to ourselves. And, we individually, we each bring something so special to the world. We just need to realize that.
Right. So how did you make the transition to where you are today? I'm sure it was a journey.
Yeah, I wasn't. I flipped a light switch and said, wow, everything's great.
Yes.
It's every day. It's, I love to start my day with positive affirmations. And if you would have told 10 years ago, if you would have told me that I would be doing this, I would have been like, no way, that is not me. But you know what? It really is me. It really changes how I feel every morning. It changes how I interact with my kids and my husband and the world. Yeah. So that has been a big thing for me. Two other pieces. The way I talk about myself and the way I talk to myself. So when I was younger, I would talk about myself, oh, I'm just a stay-at-home mom, or I'm just Rob's wife, anything like that, limiting myself, justifying just, who I was, what I was doing versus taking pride. These are all pieces of who I am, and why I didn't take pride in them. When I look back now, it's like shocking, but I was always justifying that I wasn't the CEO of a company or something else. Mm-hmm. The other thing was I didn't realize my negative self-talk that I was doing out loud in front of my children, how it negatively impacted them, until my daughter one day said to me, you got to stop being so hard on yourself. You're giving me a complex. And I was like, wow, I didn't even realize I was doing it. And I think a lot of times we don't realize that when we're saying something to ourselves, like, oh, I can't believe you can't fit in those pants again, that affects our children, that affects the people around us. So really looking at how we talk, I think is so important.
And all of the things that you talked about is surrounding with words. The words that we choose create our experience. And learning, one of the things that a saying I heard somewhere, now that I've said it so much, it's mine, kind of a thing, is the words that you speak are the house you live in. And it begins to be creating the world. And that's why affirmations are so powerful. Even when we begin saying them, we don't believe them. We don't really believe that we're a CEO, when really you were a CEO already, raising 6 kids.
I see it like that now,
yeah,
but I didn't see it like that before. Right. Yeah.
And so
I love that saying. I love that because it really is. I say to my kids all the time that words matter. It's so important how you, not just what you say, but how you say it as well. It's so important.
Yeah, they're really powerful. We actually create our world with the words that we speak. And no one hears our voice talking to ourselves as much as we do. We hear ourselves above all other people. And so what I'm saying about myself, That's really good. I love that. So that was a journey. And where did that, as you began to make those changes, where did it bring you to today?
So it brought me to a couple of places. First place was I uh, kind of after I started this process, I actually climbed a mountain. I climbed Kilimanjaro. I am not a climber. I have some steps in my house. So one of those things where I said to myself, when I started believing in myself that if I set a goal and put in the work behind it, how powerful that could be. And it was. I literally made it to the top of Kilimanjaro as a mom of 6 at 42 years old. Um, and that kind of led me, that's one of my stories, but led me to where I am today, which is as an author and a speaker, because I think sharing our stories is so powerful, and helping other people share their stories, helping other people realize that everyone has a story to share.
That's awesome. So you're speaking and you're an author. Tell us about your book.
My book is called The Extraordinary UnOrdinary You. And it really is about realizing what you're capable of, and recognizing that the little things you do every day matter, that the little choices that we make, the way we interact with customer service call, the way we interact with our neighbors, all of those things are so important to bring kindness and empathy forward in the world. And so I talk about the stories of our adoptions, the good, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. My daughter's diagnosis with Crohn's, the way we see the world as a multicultural family. So there's a lot of pieces to it. But I really wanted to share it. It was hard to write, because writing about my kids and making sure that I was open and honest, but also a little protective of them, because it's still their stories as well. But it was important for me to share them, because if I can impact that person, then it's really important.
That's great. What's the worst advice you ever got?
Yeah, the worst advice was from my parents after I failed organic chemistry, that I should go into accounting because I was good at math. And, I love my parents. My parents were amazing, but it was this is what's expected of you. And while you're under our roof, this is what you're going to do. And, of course, in my mind, I really wanted to be an actor. That didn't happen. But instead I was a CPA.
Yeah, those are not the same.
No, just slightly different. But really it was that piece of that, you have to do this because this is what's expected of you. And and it's totally the opposite advice of what I give my kids today. It really is, pick something you love and understand that it's going to change.
Yes. And it does. As you get older, things change of what your passions, some of it stays, the thread stays the same, but the core how you do it can totally change with all of that. That's really good with all of it. I love that. So if someone was listening there and they are feeling like you felt at that women's conference, what would you say to them?
I would share one of my stories about how I was able to, I don't want to say transform, but really change the way I saw myself and realize the value that I bring to the world, which I used to say, I'm just an ordinary girl. I am an ordinary girl, right? I am a mom. I'm a wife. I do the dishes. I do the laundry. I cook, sometimes not so good, like all of these things. And so for me to now see myself in a different way, everybody can do that, because we all bring amazing gifts to the world. We're all unordinary. We're all unique, and we all have these extraordinary pieces inside of us. We just have to take a look and realize.
I had someone that is a mentor to me speak to me once and said, Donna, you are a gift to the world. And the one that's going to be the surprise the most is you as you unwrap it, because we doubt ourselves above all other people, of what the gifts that God has placed in us that we bring to the world. We minimize them, we doubt them, all of those things. And so That's one of the things that I would say to the woman that's listening, that's doubting herself, is you are a gift. You were designed for greatness. And the only greatness is being you and being who you are. Thank you so much, Simone, for sharing your story today. If people wanted to get in touch with you about speaking or finding your book, how would they do that?
They can find all the information on my website, which is SimoneKnego.com. Last name is Knego, and reach out. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to share my stories and hear your stories.
Awesome. We will put your contact information in the show notes. And again, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me here.
You are welcome. I love my conversation with Simone. I thoroughly enjoy having my guest with me on the podcast to share their stories of how you were designed for greatness. If you are feeling a little lost or comparison is taking an overload with you, and you would like to really begin to live the life you always dreamed, leaving the past behind, whatever limitations that have happened to you, then I would love to talk with you and give you a complimentary consultation. You can visit my website, iVibrantLiving.com, click on schedule, and be able to meet with me virtually or with a phone call, whichever way you would prefer. And so I want you to know that I believe in you. Please like and share and comment and give reviews on this podcast so it can increase our reach. So until next time, have an amazing day and live and love vibrantly.
Thank you for joining us on this powerful episode of the You Were Designed for Greatness podcast. Please share this with others who might enjoy it. For more info on Donna Tashton or to contact her, visit iVibrantLiving.com.